Digital Radio 107.6 FM, broadcasting live and direct from the Bobber's Mill Community Centre. This is the Tech Clinic, and we begin now, do we not? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother Yasar. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, fine. And how are you, my good man?
Alhamdulillah, on this lovely Sunday evening. MashaAllah, the weather's improved. Alhamdulillah, it's all good. It's all good.
I disapprove, but yes.
You're not a fan of the sun. You like it rain. You like the mercy.
Yes, beautiful rain.
The Noor is good as well sometimes.
Alhamdulillah, everything's
Alhamdulillah.
good.
Alhamdulillah.
Everything is amazing. We've got a couple of questions. We've got a few segments, so we'll cover that all, inshallah, in this half an hour that we have.
Inshallah we will. And let me just put all these gadgets on silent. Don't want any interruptions, do we?
Oh, of course not.
How was your week?
My week? Alhamdulillah, it was good, yeah.
Did you see the USS Enterprise circling above Kronos? Private joke there. If anybody knows what I'm referring to, please call in and enlighten us.
Spoilers. The private joke. Let's get on with the show. First question: is there any Is there any way to get rid of a screen burn that I have on my Galaxy S2?
Okay, this is an interesting one. The Galaxy S2, as we all know, has got a active matrix organic light emitting diode, otherwise known as an AMO LED screen, and it's not LCD. Unfortunately, screen burn is very possible and generally is irreversible, depending on how much burn you have. So what is that screen burn? So when you'll see when there's icons that are static on the display for a while, and if you were to launch an application, you'll still see the icons that were there in the previous screen, that kind of ghosting effect. Mm-hmm. One thing you can do to actually prevent that is to remove the actual or change the settings so it's not on 100% all the time on the brightness of the screen.
Okay.
So when you at night time change it to 50%, reduce the brightness. You don't need to be 100% all the time. There is an application called Screen Burn-In Tool. It's in the Google Play Store. You can download that. That can run some tests on your phone, and it can it kind of changes the actual display to different colors, so like a full screen green and red and blue, which may remove the actual pixelation, which is causing the burn-in. That may fix it, but it all depends what the nature of the actual burn is. So one thing to try: Screen Burn-In Tool. And then see what happens. But if you've got lots of burn-in effects, then probably not going to be reversible, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately.
Happens to all kind of screens of this technology. On plasma screens, you get that ghosting effect. Yeah. And the S2 is notorious for that type of effect.
Sad times. Right, second question. How do I transfer my notes from my iPod 3rd Gen to my iPad?
Okay, so this iPod 3rd Gen, I'm assuming it's the iPod Touch because they mentioned the 3rd Gen. Mm-hmm. So with that, all notes are synchronized now using iCloud. So what the person needs to do is go into their settings, either mail contacts, calendar setting, or the settings iCloud, and synchronize their documents and data to their iCloud account, which is generally their Apple ID as well. It doesn't have to be the same, but normally it is. And when they do sync that, it will copy the notes into the cloud, and then from your iPad do the same, sync your documents to the cloud, and when you go into the Notes app, you'll see all your notes magically appear. Yeah. If it's an older version of iPod, I think 2nd Gen and earlier, you could do it through iTunes. You'd sync through iTunes, and you'd see the notes in iTunes. Mm-hmm. But that's no longer the way Apple do it now. It's all via iCloud.
Everything through the cloud system.
Yep, simple. One way of doing things.
It sure is. Next question. I want to build a computer for myself to be used for video editing and photo editing. What specs and parts would you recommend I get? I don't want to be spending more than £500 on it. Okay, video editing and photo editing. Similar requirements to a gaming type of PC we spoke about last week, where was it last week? A few weeks ago, I'm sure we had one where we had a similar budget. Then we had one on getting a graphics card for about £150. Okay. So similar to £500 is a tight budget for a future-proof type of system that uses SSD and
has lots of expansion capability, but you can get a really good spec for £500.
Yeah.
So some things I saw this really good article where this person built the machine for £492, so just well within that budget. They used it for gaming. This person needs to use it for video editing, so the graphics card would need to be as powerful as a really good gaming renderer.
Yeah.
And also photo editing, lots of RAM and a fast CPU. So running this down, a reasonable motherboard, an Asus motherboard with USB 3 slots built in, will cost you around £47, just under £50.
Okay.
That has a onboard SATA 2 and 2 slots for RAM, so you could get two 4GB chips in there, giving you a spec of 8GB of RAM, which is pretty good. Be careful with that motherboard. It doesn't support SSD drives, but there are 2 USB 3 ports in the back.
Right.
There's no USB ports on the motherboard. You might want to increase your budget slightly and compromise elsewhere, because £47 is quite cost effective for a motherboard.
Yeah.
Maybe get one that's got SSD. So if you are doing lots of video editing, you want to have a fast disk. And the fastest possible disk is an SSD one.
Yes, the solid state drive.
The processor here, we've compromised a little. We've got an i3, not the i7. You may be able to get away with the i3, not the fastest one around.
Yeah.
But this i3 costs £86. If you wanted an i5, you're looking at £170. So
Okay.
that's a reasonable sized processor. 8GB of RAM, £40. That's 2 4GB chips of a really fast DDR3 RAM. That's the fastest you can get today. For under £40, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So with that motherboard, you've maxed out the capacity, so it's not really a future-proof motherboard. If you know you're going to get more RAM later on, as your budget increases, then maybe get a motherboard with 4 slots, so you can add more later on. If you're when you are building it yourself, you must get a cooling or CPU cooler. So you get some reasonable ones for under £20. Here's one for £16. It's an Arctic Cooling Freezer 7 Pro. And then your GPU, your graphical processing unit, or your video card in other words, this is coming in at £89. Within our budget, it has a onboard 1GB of RAM, which should be enough for your video editing. Then there's also a power supply with an inbuilt cooler. Okay. Don't skimp on the power supply. Don't get a cheaper £5-10 power supply, because your power supply is heart of the machine, really powering the actual device. And have one that's got a pretty powerful cooler. This one is a Cooler Master GX650W for £70. Hard drives nowadays are cheap. Within that budget of 500, a 500 GB hard drive coming in at about £50-55. Not too bad at all. But I mean, that 500 GB, you will once you've installed the operating system and a few applications, you might be left with maybe 300-400 gig.
Yeah.
So if you are doing lots of high def video processing, you'll probably exceed that pretty quickly. So make sure you've got enough budget for an external drive, which will be USB 3, of course, which is kind of speed. If you really want to go for ultimate speed, you might want to try a motherboard with a Thunderbolt. That's very expensive, and Thunderbolt's lightningly fast. Lightningly fast. The case, there's quite expensive case this person gone for, £70. You can get cheaper cases, so maybe get a cheaper case and use the amount you save on the
components,
faster motherboard or something like that.
And spending on the actual case itself, which is sometimes highly necessary.
Maybe you want to go for looks or whatever. But, this is quite an expensive case because it looks really flash. And the final, but not by no means the least important, is the DVD drive. Here there's a 48-speed read, 24-speed write drive. Okay,
quite fast.
You might want to get a Blu-ray writer, again, if you're doing HD, but again, that's going to increase the budget. This is just a DVD reader writer. It can't even play Blu-rays, which the Blu-ray may not be important to you. Okay, so that with those components, it comes in at under £500. So so that would fit the purpose. Maybe you want to look at increasing your budget a little bit, getting a faster processor. Okay, and not forgetting software as well. You've got to have a budget for software as well. Maybe for that purpose, Adobe have a subscription model where I think it's for £20 or £35 a month. If you're a student, you get it cheaper. If you're a charity, you can get it for like, I think, or a school, you can get it for £12 a month. That's the Adobe Creative Cloud edition, which gives you all the tools. Adobe CS6, CS6 Premium Edition with Photoshop and Premiere and the Video Suite.
What's
So,
that, some sort of contract for a year? Or?
monthly subscription, so it's like a pay-as-you-go model.
Wow, that's
yeah,
very nice.
It is, yeah, and it's only £30 a month. To buy it outright, you're talking about upwards to £1,000, £800 or whatever.
Wow,
Okay, so don't forget the software. You've got a budget for software as well.
definitely. Right, final question. We don't have many questions today, but we've got a few segments. Final question of the day: how do I add more RAM to my MacBook Air 2nd Gen?
The only option is to go back to the shop or sell it,
Oh.
because the MacBook Air has RAM that's actually soldered onto the motherboard.
Oh, silly Apple.
Yeah, this is strange. I think to keep the device as slim and as sexy as possible, they've
Okay.
gone for non-removable memory. The only options you have with the MacBook Air for RAM is at the time you order it from
Right.
the Apple Store or online. You choose either 4 GB of RAM or 8 GB of RAM. So even in the Retina version and the non-Retina ones, you could not replace the RAM because the actual RAM's actually soldered onto the motherboard.
Are there any replaceable parts?
In the MacBook Air, I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that's the price you pay for looking good with a MacBook Air under your arm when you're walking into meetings. Should have bought a MacBook Pro. You could have very easily upgraded MacBook Pro to extra RAM.
You can't say that.
But to me, if they want to put more RAM in the MacBook Air, it implies they're really heavily using that
Power-hungry
device.
person.
Yeah, so maybe it's a time to maybe part exchange that or sell that and move up to the MacBook Pro.
So MacBook Air was more of a lower end. Or?
They're quite a reasonable spec, but maybe they're doing more extensive processing. Maybe they're doing some more video editing or more development, etc.
Yeah.
So maybe it's now time to grow up and get a MacBook Pro.
Fair enough. He's selling Apple products once again.
No.
He's recommending. That's what we'll say that instead. That makes you happier. Right, moving on with the show. We've covered off all the questions for today and the answers, obviously, that we've given. Next segment we're going to look at, when I come back to you, Brother Ghufran, it's what's new in the world of tech. Now, something which I want to do on a weekly basis, if we can. And going to cover off 3 or 4 different stories, or possibly 5. We'll see how many we can get covered in the time span that we have. First of all, BlackBerry 2013. Don't know if you've heard the new handsets which they've released. And BlackBerry CEO says we are not only still here, we're firing on all cylinders as a company. Take that, Apple. Take that, Android.
Interesting.
Yeah, a company formerly known as RIM and now it's BlackBerry. The Messenger service, which is coming to iOS and Android as well, BlackBerry Messenger.
Yep, I heard that.
The most unexpected announcement that BlackBerry released that BBM's is to iOS and Android device sometime this summer. Yes, and BBM will compete with Facebook Messenger, Apple's iMessage, and take control of users, and WhatsApp as well, obviously. So take it out of texting and going to messaging.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think maybe they're shooting themselves in the foot because a lot of people would buy the BlackBerry for that Messenger.
For the Messenger, yeah.
Now if it was going to be released on the Apple, then I would have a touchscreen any day.
Yeah. Why would you get a BlackBerry then?
I'm not sure if it would be free or it's
subscription basis, or how it's going to happen. Because at the moment, it's like if you're on pay to go sort of, and you are paying for that added service of using BlackBerry services, you're paying for that £5 extra. So how will they actually do it? That's another interesting point. They also released the updates for BB10 to the Z10. New features include BlackBerry Hub for organizing all messages, improved cursor control, also several camera improvements, and the ability to change notification LED colors. See that? That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Okay. My jaw is dropping.
And finally, BlackBerry said they're going to enter the market with lower-end smartphones for the emerging markets. Lower-end QWERTY keyboard smartphones. And Q5 will run on the company's BB10 operating system, so the new OS that they've released. It'll be running on that, and this will be at a very low price point. It does still include video chat options as well, and comes in black, white, and red. Available this July, and it's pretty good. 8 GB of internal memory on these small little
Yeah, I must admit
their own smartphones.
the new operating system is very slick, very
Yeah.
fast. The way it just combines all your feeds into
It's
one
very
screen.
nice.
So looks like they are reinventing themselves again. No surprise that they made that announcement. They've got some really good devices, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Good way moving forward. Second story is on, this one might be close to home for you, Mercedes-Benz. Yes, Google has been pushing self-driving car technology for much of the last few years. Audi showed off its own self-driving vehicles at the last CES, and now Mercedes-Benz is throwing its hat into the ring. Yes, according to the New York Times, the automaker showed off its virtual chauffeur technology in its new $100,000 S-Class in Hamburg and Germany. So check
Wow.
that out.
I think BMW are doing a similar thing. They're I'm not sure which technology they're going to be basing on, either Android or Apple. It's probably going to be Android, but the whole kind of iDrive will be integrated to smart technology and chauffeurless cars, or driverless cars.
Yeah.
Would you want to be in a car with no driver though?
It's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trusting a car to take it to place. But they're saying the Mercedes-Benz, the creators themselves are saying that it'll be able to steer itself in the city traffic or keep it in a lane going over 120 miles per hour. That's pretty impressive. Under the right conditions as well, obviously. It can also park itself, brake automatically to avoid hitting pedestrians or other cars, and can even tell when a driver is becoming dangerously fatigued. Fatigued. Indeed. Mercedes compared it to a plane's autopilot system, in which the plane can perform many of the routine tasks necessary to get it from point A to point B, while a human keeps its eye on things to watch out for trouble. So things to come, really. A long way from it actually becoming a reality, though, and that's another story. So expecting to sit back and relax is not something coming anytime soon, because by the law we're still supposed to be sitting behind the wheel. So we can't take your hands off the wheel yet, but maybe in another 3 to 5 years it could become reality and laws could change.
Maybe you could be at home and you could from your phone control your car, take the car to Asda to
Who do the shopping?
pick up the shopping,
Pick up
and
the
then
shopping.
you just bring the car back.
Pick up the
You're
shopping.
doing it through your phone or your PS3.
To be honest, that's the only thing human beings are
Yeah.
going to actually be good at anymore in shopping places, because you've already got the checkouts. All the staff most of the time are not, being against them or anything.
Just
Most
giving out carry bags, aren't they?
pretty much
Yeah.
filling up the carrier bags or stocking up the shelves.
But when they
sadly.
stop carry bags and you've got to bring your own bags, then what happens to them?
Well, you just put like you said, if you send the car to like Asda, for example, as given an example, it could be Sainsbury, it could be anywhere, but you put the bags in there, they could just
Yeah.
fill up the bags and, to
Order it online and just pick it up. Yeah.
whichever way. But it can be done. And 2 more stories before we'll go back to yourself. iPhone 6 rumours. One feature phone, surprise, surprise. Someone's rendered together a iPhone device, but without a button. Don't know if you've seen it, without a home button. The iPhone 5S, iPhone 6 is a concept design by Steve Hemmenstoffer. The renders which depict an iPhone 5S, iPhone 6 without a home button are incredibly well done, and you can have a search of this online. It looks pretty cool without a home button, and it also obviously stretches the screen as well without tremendously increasing the screen size. And so just taking the button away itself increase the actual viewing screen.
Is it same size screen as the 5 or is it
Yeah,
big?
exactly the same, but just get rid of the button,
Yeah.
which makes it obviously bigger, so what you can play around with. If they can pull that off, that'd be pretty neat. But yeah, it looks really nice, a larger screen as well. But overall, it's the same size as the iPhone 5.
And it's just a rumour though, so
It is a concept design, rumor, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, someone has actually designed this to say, this could be a possibility. Final piece of news: flexible screens. Obviously, S4 when it came out, everyone was like, "Yeah, it's gonna have a flexible screen." We didn't know obviously what to expect, but it was just a minor upgrade from the S3. Best way to put it. Don't hiss and sigh. 4 and 4S wasn't much of a difference either. Come on, come on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But now, yeah,
That's why 4 and 4S is still 4, isn't it? Is a minor release.
Yeah.
But 3 to 4 is a major release.
Oh, whatever.
Anyway.
I like what you did there. It's true though. They should have put the S there.
But that folding screen was nice. I must admit, that's really, really impressive.
They need to bring that to market. So Galaxy Note 3, everyone's looking at as a possible successor to foldable screens that could take off. Though the technology is still not there yet, and it's unlikely to happen according to recent news. So it's very unlikely that it will have a metal body. It will stick with the same polycarbonate design as the S4, unfortunately. Having said that, the specs are pretty cool. It's expecting a 5.99 inch AMOLED HD display, a choice of two processors, 1.9 GHz Cortex A15 or the quad-core 1.6 GHz Cortex A7. The main camera will be a 13 megapixel camera most likely, and run Android 4.3 Jelly Bean. So not a major disappointment, but you know, it could have been slightly better. Really looking at possibly 2014 now, possibly the S5 with a flexible display, but they need a bit of a shake up in the market. That's the only way they're going to stay where they are right now. Otherwise, other emerging phones will take over. And the Nokias look beautiful. 925, I think it is.
With the Windows tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks amazing. I saw that. Yeah. Seen that. It looks really nice.
925 and 925, I think it is. That looks beautiful. The actual body of it is very nice build quality. The only thing I was personally disappointed that it wasn't on Android.
Well, that one, the actual camera on that one, when you take a photo with objects in, you can actually remove objects from the photo.
Oh, you can do that with the S4 as well.
Okay. Yeah.
You've got the eraser tool, so you can actually take people out of it.
Wow.
So it's available, just saying. Now, back to you, Brother Ghufran.
Why are you coming back to me?
Yes, your final segment.
I don't want you to come back to me.
Oh, no. Well,
okay, so, yeah, what time? We're doing pretty good on time, so yeah, what happened with Google I/O? Google have their yearly conference, which is called Google I/O.
Yes.
In San Francisco, and it was May the 15th to the May the 17th. So just literally was over a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
That's where they make all the latest and greatest announcements of new products, new hardware, new software.
Okay.
This year there was very little in terms of hardware. It's all basically around software. There was nothing we didn't know about. Interestingly enough, they said that Android has hit 900 million activated users this year. Okay. And there's been around 50. I've got some figures here. I think it's 50 million or 50 billion downloads. Let's see. I've got the the 50 million downloads from the App Store, whereas Apple had no, sorry, it was 48 billion apps in Google Play. 48 billion apps were downloaded from Google Play.
Okay.
Whereas in Apple's App Store, there's 50 billion.
Right.
So it's only 2 billion difference, you know. So Android and the whole Apple and the Google ecosystem is really catching up.
Yeah.
So Apple really need to do something because they reached their 15 billionth download, and they gave that person, I think, a $10,000 gift voucher to use in iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of a nice touch, but. Yeah, 48 billion downloads. So they announced that, but there's major changes with Google Glass. Google Glass is going to hit the streets for those people who registered early on. It's interesting. There's lots of privacy makers who are worried about that glass because I could be looking at you and recording you.
Right.
So if I'm staring at you with my Google Glasses, I'm really invading your privacy. So there's all campaigns against that whole kind of story, but. They've changed their Google Talk and produced something called Hangouts.
Okay.
It's like a unified messenger, a bit like iMessage, where you can, on any Apple device, your MacBook, your iMac, and your iPad, you can send messages. With Google, you can now do it from any smartphone, Android and Apple, and also your desktop and your PC.
Okay.
So it's a unified messenger where you can make also video calls with 10 participants.
Yeah.
If you're offline, it will send you an SMS notification.
Awesome.
So yeah, you can hang out with your iOS or your Android device now. So really interesting there. Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts. Yeah. There was no release of Android 4.3.
Okay.
They didn't. There were people thinking they were going to announce that, but they haven't announced that. But the one interesting thing they announced is a new Google Nexus 4 handset, which what they've done is they've taken the Samsung S4,
Yeah.
taken the best things of that and rebadged it as Google, unlocked it, and it'll be with the Google Nexus. It's Google Galaxy S4.
Right.
Okay, it has the whole Nexus experience on there, and it'll maintain all the touch features that you see in the Samsung S4.
So all gestures and everything will be still there?
Gestures will still be there.
Wow.
The Smart Scroll and the TouchWiz interface will still be there.
Except for the TouchWiz bit.
Oh,
wow.
sorry. That will be gone. Sorry. No, I misled you.
Oh, okay.
That's gone.
So
That's
it is
gone.
going there.
Yeah, because that was
Right, okay.
Samsung. So the Air Gestures, Smart Scroll, and Samsung's TouchWiz will be replaced with the Nexus experience.
So it would be basically a really powerful handset, but without all the amazing
the pure
features.
Android, yeah. Because when you get a Google handset, you get
Yeah.
the latest Android first.
Right.
Samsung and HTC follow on later on. So it's going to be the complete Nexus experience on the Google device.
What do you think of that?
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I personally think it's a bit odd, but how are they going with the manufacturers? Rumours are they might be doing it with HTC as well, but I'll let you carry on with your piece.
Yeah, maybe they'll buy Samsung. Maybe we have an acquisition down the line. You never know. You never know. So that was interesting. So there's better Bluetooth on these handsets was announced. I mentioned Hangouts. There's a new music subscription service. If you're into your music, lots of stuff around gaming and Google Play and that market still having cross-platform gaming things you can do. So mainly lots of software announcements and big changes to Google Maps coming on. So Google Maps will have a redesigned interface, especially when you search for locations, and it'll have a similar experience to the Google Notes that you see. What are they called? Google Notes, aren't they?
Google Notes is called Google Keep.
Google Keep or Google Cards. Yeah,
That's what you're referring to, right?
Yeah,
Keep, as in the
Google
notes.
Keep.
The notes.
It's actually called.
It's Google Keep, isn't it? That's the notes app they've
Google
released.
Cards, yeah, Google Cards.
Oh, Google Cards. Oh, you mean Google Now?
Okay, Google Now,
Google
yeah.
Now, right?
Yeah,
okay.
sure. So Google Now gives you these notes that appear with your calendar and your location and things about where you are to enrich your experience.
So
Is that
Google Now, which gives you the cards. Which
they're cards, yeah. So on the iPhone it's Google Now, but the actual Google Maps will be more integrated with that kind of experience. So when you're searching for the mosque, for example, you'll have more kind of mosque-related things that appear in that particular location.
Very nice.
Lots of changes on the software side.
So that's coming straight from Google Maps then?
Yes.
That's very nice.
So lots of announcements there. Still no announcements on the Android 4.3. When that's going to be coming.
Key Lime Pie, which we're expecting, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much they earned $8 million just from adverts on a particular pop video that they were sponsoring. And so far they've had 900 million activations to date.
Okay.
So Google, that whole ecosystem, it's really developed. So
are they actually making these figures out like Apple do, or is it actually true?
No, that's true. No, come on. You can't say that. So
I'm sorry.
So in fact, this stock Android that we talked about, the Samsung Galaxy S4 rebadged under Google Nexus.
Yeah.
It's going to be $649. Right.
Wow. Hefty price tag.
Whereas last year's LG Nexus 4 was $349.
Yeah, a lot cheaper. That's why everyone bought into it.
Yeah. So I've just got a message from my other half saying my little one's missing me, and he's put the radio on and he's listening to me.
Oh,
so,
mashallah.
Mashallah. He likes his iPad as well. He's got iPad 1. But yeah, so interesting around the software world. The software ecosystem is really developing.
Excellent.
The biggest, I think, new thing from Google is this whole Google Glass.
Yeah.
So that'll be very soon in the summer. We'll be seeing people walking around with these smart glasses.
We'll see how it goes.
It will be interesting.
Well, let's sign out with that, and inshallah we'll be back next week. Till then, assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah, we will. Wa alaikum assalam.